All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live. This is the Paul Harrell program. We got a great show for you. I'm with my co-host, Rob Spencer, and we're going to talk about an absolutely devastating, traumatic, horrific story out of our home state of Arkansas in Devil's Den State Park. A double homicide occurred a few days ago. The man is still at large from what we can see so far. We're going to be refreshing the feed. There's a manhunt underway right now for a man who we've got his description, murdered a wife and a mother and a father and a husband, and their two children are now fatherless and motherless, age 7 and 9. They somehow survived this terrible ordeal. We're going to try to give you the latest, the best we can. We got a lot more to talk about as well. The Paul Harrell program starts right now.
The Paul Harrell program.
All right, folks. As always, we can't do the program without you watching. We really appreciate it. And as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Rob Spencer. Rob, take it away.
Glad to be here as always. And, obviously we have tragic news in the state of Arkansas. But, what we're realizing is that, of course, this could happen anywhere, especially when it is a random act of violence, and in which case, two young children, seven years old and 9 years old, our hearts and prayers go out to them and to their family. But essentially, it was a family out for a walk in Devil's Den, which, we're going to go through the logistics of where that is in Arkansas. And how appropriate is the name, unfortunately, is because we were talking about this off air, and I said that the devil is at work. And unfortunately, two kids are parentless after this horrible, horrible tragedy.
Yeah, and it also comes on the heels of this convict who was actually known as the devil in the Ozarks.
Yeah.
And how he had murdered people kind of along the same topography as well. So I'm not saying they're related at all, other than it was only a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
We were involved with another manhunt trying to find an escaped convict who had murdered a lot of people. So.
Yeah, the number one thing obviously here at this point is to catch this horrible, horrible excuse for a human being. So, we're going to go over the description of him, and we're going to talk about, essentially what happened here. And, it's scary. It's one of those things where you and I, Paul, grew up in a very different time where maybe our doors were not locked at night. And we live in a very different time. It's not just locking our doors at night. It is, are we carrying weapons to protect ourselves at all times?
Well, I'm glad that you brought that up because, maybe there are Arkansans that don't know this, but, you can. There are laws that protect you from carrying in, or they protect your right to carry in an Arkansas state park. Sure. And so...
Yeah, we're an open carry state here in the state of Arkansas, which means that you can carry. You do not have to have a concealed carry license in the state of Arkansas. We are very pro Second Amendment. Now, that doesn't mean that it is, the wild, wild west here. You have to go. So I have a handgun. I had to go and I purchased this. I had to fill out a form, and they had to do an FBI background check on me. Now, mine came back very, very quickly. Sometimes it takes several days. Mine came back very quickly, but they had to do a check on me before I could purchase a firearm. So it's not just the wild, wild west here. However, once you are approved to purchase a firearm, you do not have to have any sort of license to carry that firearm.
Yeah, it's a permitless carry. You can actually carry open or concealed.
Correct.
And so anyway, just so people know, this is why I'm armed pretty much wherever I go for this very reason. And this was a couple that recently moved to Prairie Grove, Arkansas, which is not very far from the state park, from South Dakota.
Yes.
So
just thinking about where we are in the state of Arkansas, which is a very, very small state, about 3.5 million people live here in the state of Arkansas. This is northwest Arkansas, which is very close to Oklahoma, Missouri, and Texas.
Yeah, so the murder took place basically between Fort Smith and Fayetteville.
Yes.
And now the question is, which way did this guy go? We've got two directions, basically, as I look at the map. We'll show you the map here in a minute. He either went north on Arkansas Highway 170, according to the reports, or he went south on what looks to be like an even smaller road, but it's also a highway, Arkansas Highway 220. So according to witnesses, this is what happened, and he had his license plate blacked out with either duct tape or electrical tape. Let's actually just get the Arkansas coverage on this. We're going to go to this 4029 TV. This was the reporting over the weekend.
Daughters at Devil's Den State Park this weekend. And tonight we're tracking the urgent search for the suspect. 4029's Katani Gooch went to the park today where she spoke to a camper who heard the news but decided to stay. Katani.
That's right, Chip. The man I spoke to earlier today said that it was his first time ever visiting the park and that he had heard about that news earlier this morning before driving down. And as of around 2:30 this afternoon, ASP released the names of those victims. That's Kristen and Clinton Brink. And yes, they were with their young daughters at the time, who were both under the age of 10.
Be advised, this just occurred at Devil's Den. Unit still en route. Attacked a male and a female on Devil's Den hiking trail, and then took off in a small black sports car with tape over the plate.
ASP tells us 43-year-old Clinton Brink and 41-year-old Kristen Brink just moved to Prairie Grove from another state.
And we suspect the suspect of injuries due to the witness seeing the suspect stab one of them.
To find out that, a couple people were just out there enjoying the same element that we're in, got disturbed the way they did, it's kind of a messed up situation.
In a press release Sunday afternoon, ASP released an updated description of the suspect they're searching for.
Be on the lookout for a white male suspect wearing black gloves, sunglasses, dark-colored pants.
Police say he was also wearing a long-sleeve shirt with the sleeves rolled up and a black backpack. They also believe the suspect drove a Mazda with the license plate covered in tape and may have been traveling on State Highway 170 or 220 near the park.
According to witness, direction of travel was, quote, went across a bridge leaving Devil's Den and stayed on the highway, end quote.
While the trails are closed, many other places like the visitor center and the cabins are open to the public.
You can't even roll into the park without seeing them taking care of the situation.
All right, so the law enforcement, doing the best they can. We need to help them out any way we can. That's one of the reasons we're leading with this story, is because, black Mazda. If you see something, say something. Obviously, At this point, you're thinking he's not driving the Mazda, or he's not. Mm-hmm. He just certainly doesn't have it blacked out with the tape. My question, Rob, is, what kind of crime was this?
Yeah.
And if the answer to the question, did he have the license plate blacked out before he entered the park or upon arriving, or did he black it out after the murder in an effort to flee? That would kind of tell you whether or not this was planned or whether or not this was, some sort of crime of passion.
Yeah, so what we're looking at here, of course, is, Paul and I are just speculating, but let's first talk about what actually happened here. From all accounts, there is a family. This is a husband and wife and their two daughters, I believe. Both,
7 and 9, yeah.
Yes,
the Brinks is what is their
Yes.
name.
They had just relocated from South Dakota. Okay, again, this is all just from what we're hearing from the reports, and they were out for a walk, and in a state park. A unknown assailant, they call it, unknown person here, unknown subject. I can't remember, whatever. I've watched Criminal Minds, but unsub. This person is someone who is blacked out in terms of what they were wearing: hat, glasses, gloves, long sleeve shirt, but it was pulled up, so we do know
backpack.
Backpack. So we do know that this person was Caucasian, based off of, I guess, there was enough exposed skin, and from the accounts of tragically, from the two daughters. This guy had a knife and comes out and stabs the parents to death, kills them, and did not, thankfully, if you want to find some sort of silver lining here, did not murder the two daughters.
Yeah.
And so anyway, they are the ones we're getting the majority of this information from about what happened. So this guy flees. He has his license plate blacked out. To me, Paul, and again, this is speculation, it's just really hard for me to believe that this was some sort of random act of violence, such as, oh, I don't know, they get into an argument with this guy on the trail and he just decides that he's going to stab the adults.
Yeah.
To me, it really rings true that he was most likely, in my opinion, lying in wait, and he chose this couple to murder.
You could very well be correct. And then there's so many people online. Again, we don't have all the facts, but so many people online are wondering about the fingerless gloves. You know, you've heard them say, some people have called them weightlifting gloves. Some people have called them, I don't know, I guess just fingerless gloves, or maybe even trucker gloves. Of course, the guy wasn't driving a truck. He was, driving a four-door sedan,
Sure.
reportedly a Mazda. So there's a lot of people
But the
trying
fingerless versus totally concealed, because the fingerless obviously would leave his fingerprints exposed.
Yeah. So if it was so the other side of that, if it's a crime that was planned out,
opportunity.
maybe why wouldn't you wear gloves that concealed your fingerprints? I don't know.
So many times, Paul, and unfortunately we see results, we see like after the fact that all of these accounts were totally wrong, and it was this or that, right? And we just don't truly know, what it ends up being. Until they catch this guy, because this guy is at large in Arkansas, in Northwest Arkansas. We're talking about someone who is a killer, and he is roaming loose in Northwest Arkansas, in between. So if you're not
somewhere, I mean,
right.
we don't know where
we don't know where he's at this point. I mean, honestly, he's had enough time to get out of that area. But Northwest Arkansas is, where we see the Ozark Mountains. And so it's very mountainous. It's very hilly. So we're in Northeast Arkansas, which is very flat, a lot of farmland out here. But in Northwest Arkansas, it's very, very hilly. So there's a lot more places to hide. You can't hide in the middle of a field here in Northeast Arkansas very long. In Northwest Arkansas, very much similar to what we saw in North Central Arkansas with the Devil of the Ozarks guy.
Right.
Plenty of places to hide.
Yeah, definitely. So it's interesting. So I tried to do this. So this is Devil's Den State Park. I don't know if if you guys can see that, but we have these two highways, and they are, you have an interstate here. It's 49 just to the west.
49 leads from we just kind of, it was like from Fayetteville, which is the home of the University of Arkansas, Northwest Arkansas, down to Fort Smith, which Fort Smith, I believe, is that the third largest
something
city
about that. Yeah, that sounds about right.
In Arkansas. So we've got two very populated areas, but lots of room to hide in between.
Yeah, and so you see there at the top, this is Arkansas 170. Okay, so you would coming out of Devil's Den, basically you'd go north on 170, and then you could potentially get on Interstate 49. If you go south, you would come out of Devil's Den and you'd get on this road here, this State Highway 220, which seems like it is a very small winding road.
I've not driven there before, but I don't know.
And you're gonna go south, and you're gonna go into Fort Smith, and who knows, maybe even to Oklahoma, Texas.
He could get. I would just say, as a person who's driven through Fort Smith many times, you could get lost in Fort Smith.
Oh yeah,
it's very big.
And so
for Arkansas,
so there's a timeline question here. 5 CBS News asking why it took Arkansas State Police 6 hours to release information on the wanted suspect after Devil's Den double homicide. Now, that does not mean that Arkansas State Police wasn't looking for a suspect until 6 hours later. They just didn't notify the public about the incident for 6 hours.
Well, as opposed to what we see in information happens very quickly these days, right? And we saw this with the wildfires, in California, where people are tweeting or posting on X. It's still hard for me to call it X and all this stuff, but
I know, me too.
But people are posting on social media there, and that's real time, right? Everything is happening in real time, and even so much we've seen it with, unfortunately, school shooters, and how people are like, he's in the library right now, right? Like we've seen that stuff, right? And this real time saving of lives. So I'm with any critic of this. Anybody who is critiquing this and saying, like, why 6 hours when you have someone who literally just stabbed 2 people to death and they are not in custody? The public needs to know. They need to know, like, why did it take 6 hours? So I'm completely down with the criticism here.
Well, so this is Washington County, Arkansas. A couple was found dead on the trail near Devil's Den State Park on the afternoon of July 26th, and Arkansas State Police say the search for a possible suspect is underway. Again, this was written yesterday. It took 6 hours for the agency to alert the public, raising questions about the delay in notifying residents and the media of a possible threat in the area. The timeline of the incident starts when the first call came into the Washington County EMS a little bit before 2:30, reporting a possible assault, according to scanner audio obtained by 5 News. Shortly after, law enforcement officers responded to the scene to search for a possible suspect and victims. Less than an hour into the search, officials searching the trails heard screams from a distance. I would imagine those were the screams of the 7- and 9-year-old.
Yeah.
By the time they caught up to the family, it was too late. The couple who was killed were identified as Clinton, 43, and Kristen Brink, 41. They were hiking with their 2 young daughters at the time of the attack. Police confirmed.
Yeah.
Quote, we found victims down here. They're on the lower Devil's Den trails where I've got two bodies, is what the quote is.
Yeah, so I listened to the audio there of the police, and
sorry about that.
you always have an ad that'll always play in the background of these.
I muted
these
it.
websites.
My bad. Go ahead.
But when you think about this, I listened to the audio there, and there's 2 sides of the coin here. Number one, the police officers were keeping their cool about it. But number 2, you could also listen to it and have a little bit of a sort of a negative critique of where was the sense of urgency there? Because the first reports were that there's a possible injury here, that one of them may have been stabbed, right? And so now, when you say all that to say that, like, were they moving with more of a sense of urgency than their voice relayed? Because when you listen to that, the police were almost like, okay, well, we're looking for this lost cat kind of thing. Now, that's me playing Monday morning quarterback here at this point, because then they also took 6 hours to let us know that there was a killer on the loose. So I'm a little bit frustrated about it. I don't know if you can kind of hear that.
I can kind of hear that.
Yeah. But I'm wondering, okay, were those people dead when the report came in? Okay.
Yeah.
And if they weren't, could there have been more of a sense of urgency that possibly saved their lives? Now, I don't think that's the case. I really don't, because by the time that these 2 little girls were so scared that they reached a person where that information got to the police, where they, but I never heard the call for the ambulance. I never heard any of that stuff, and that's just from the audio that I've listened to.
Yeah, that's all we have to go on right now. Yeah. So the search is ongoing right now. Again, suspect on the loose. Details remain scarce, so we still don't have a lot of details.
Yeah.
The daughters are 7 and 9. They were not hurt. We have a statement from the family here. I understand. I read one statement from the family where they are crediting Clinton and Kristen Brink for being heroes, for basically saving their daughters' lives. So we'll get more details on that, about exactly how all of this happened.
Well, as parents ourselves, we can.
Yeah,
I believe that account.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So here's a statement from the victim's family. We are heartbroken by today's horrific news from Devil's Den State Park and are in close contact with that's Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders' statement. Our hearts are with the victims. I've got the victim's response somewhere. But the children are with the family at this point. The 7 and 9-year-old are with others in the family, being taken care of, obviously, the best you can. So just continue to pray for this whole situation, and pray that this man will be caught. Pray that authorities are going to catch this murderer.
A couple of things. So what we saw there, and I forget the state where the 11 people were stabbed in Walmart, because this just happened.
Michigan?
Was it Michigan? It was Michigan. You're right about that. And so we saw that there were 11 people stabbed, and so I hate to bring this kind of thing up. It's not just a gun that can do some damage, folks. it is a depraved mind with an evil intention.
Yes.
That is what can do some damage. And we saw that. We saw that in Walmart, and we saw that in, unfortunately, Devil's Den, which I believe is appropriately named for this situation, because the devil is at work, folks. The devil is at work in the United States and all around the world. The devil is at work. And this person chose to take away parents from 2 children, you know. And there's a reason that my wife and I don't like to fly together. We do not like to fly on the same airplane, as morbid as it is, because we say if that plane goes down, our children lose both parents in one fell swoop. And these kids lost both their parents in one fell swoop. And as a parent, what do we do? We put ourselves in our kids' shoes. We put ourselves in those parents' shoes, and how we would have fought literally to the death to save our children.
Yeah.
As this person was assaulting and for lack of a better way to say this, I'm just going to put it bluntly, as he is murdering them, they are inevitably, what would they do? Run, girls, run.
Yeah.
You would have been like, run and hide. Do whatever you can.
Yeah.
A depraved mind did a depraved act.
You're right. I've got the family statement. I did bring it up. The family is asking for privacy during this very difficult time as they grieve and learn how to navigate this new reality. They ask that anyone has any information at all that will help in the investigation to please contact the proper authorities immediately. Clinton and Christian died heroes protecting their little girls, and they deserve justice. They will forever live in all our hearts. So, then they also say this. Anyone with images, videos, or possible information about the suspect is asked to call the Arkansas State Police Troop L at 479-751-6663. So if you know of anything, if you're listening to this and if you know of anything, the number's 479-751-6663.
Paul, what do we see? What do we see with these school shooters, these sick, sadistic people who basically they're like, hey, my life is so depressed. I'm so depressed, and the world has just piled on me. Woe is me. I've been bullied. I've been this. I was dealt a crappy hand. Guess what, folks? We're all dealt a crappy hand in life. No one has a perfect life. And so what do we see with these school shooters? They go in there with the intent to cause as much hurt, pain, destruction. They're trying to go in there and cause as much chaos as they can cause, okay? But they don't ever want to leave there. They don't want to leave there because their whole goal is to end their life. They just want to take as many people and cause as much pain as they can on the way out. What did this guy do? He hurt 2 people, killed 2 people, and then ran away.
Yep.
He wants to do more. He intends to do more. And I'm so frustrated that we didn't know about it for 6 hours, because that's a lot of time to do more damage.
That's a good point. No, you're exactly right. I think there's just so many unanswered questions. Like I want to know, did he know did the killer know these people? You know, did he know them? This guy just moved in.
Yeah,
from
they just relocated from
South Dakota.
Yeah.
He was about to start a job. I think he's a truck driver. He was about to start a job in deliveries on Monday. Moves from South Dakota, and then this happens. It's unlikely. You would think it would be unlikely that the murderer would know them because they just moved in. So.
It's hard to believe.
Is this guy just a crazy person roaming around Devil's Den? I mean, I've you've heard about drug addicts and stuff, potentially doing that in state parks.
It's hard to believe otherwise. It's hard to believe that it was. It's hard to believe that it was a targeted attack. It seems to be a random act of evil. Now, again, I'm just speculating, but knowing what we know. Yeah, it's really hard to believe that it was random.
So it could be
targeted.
It could be targeted in the sense that he was going to kill somebody that they just didn't know who it was.
Yeah.
You know, you drive away with a blacked out license plate, so nobody can get the tags, and now we don't know where this guy is. I understand the FBI is now, assisting in this, trying to track him down. But at what point do you have, this is what I would like to know, at what point do you get access to, say, satellite data and things like this to try to figure out exactly what happened? Because, come on, look, the NSA's recording all of this stuff, from the sky.
It's really hard. Yeah, they know everything, but it's really hard to believe that you wouldn't pull out all the stops. So I hope and pray that they do, and I hope and pray that those two little girls have.
I know.
It sounds like they've got a great support system around them, and thank God for that. And I pray that they get the counseling, the spiritual help, whatever they need. I hope they get that, because they just saw their parents murdered, and I can't even fathom. All
right, so continue to keep them in your prayers. Let us know what, sound off in the comments. But again, I just wanted to do this at the top of the show because I want people to, the onus is to catch this guy. The point is to catch this guy. I know we're just citizens, but you never know. You may see somebody acting suspicious. You may see a black moth somewhere.
They say it. If you see something, say something. If it feels fishy, it probably is.
Yeah, exactly. Trust your intuition. Trust your gut.
Yeah.
And remember, you can carry a firearm. It's legal in Arkansas to carry a firearm in Arkansas state parks. So protect yourself and your family. You have the ability to do that.
Ted Nugent says it best. The best defense for a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun.
Yeah.
And I know that this person didn't have a gun, but, if they've got a knife, that is a deadly weapon.
Well, and just look at that's why it's going to be really, let me just say this. It's going to be really interesting when we actually find out who this guy is, right? So when we actually find out, when we actually have him in our custody, it'll be interesting to see if the description that we originally given actually matches this, because the knife thing, I'm just going to be real. I'm sorry, you were on camera that whole time coughing.
Oh, sorry, choking it up.
I muted your mic, but I forgot to switch the camera. This just screams. It doesn't seem normal. I would just say the increase in stabbings and that sort of thing tends to come from importing the third world, as in my opinion. So you can look all around,
Yeah, you're saying if you're not in the country legally and you are able to acquire a firearm, that seems unlikely, but considering the background check that you have to go forward, because the only other way to do that is to obtain a firearm illegally.
Right.
And it's like, hey, how do you just randomly know somebody who sells Glocks out of their trunk? That, I know of no one who illegally sells firearms.
Yeah.
I don't think that a random person who comes into the country illegally is going to just be like, hey, I've heard there's this guy, who will sell you, an AR-15, just out of his trunk. You don't know that. So for you to obtain a firearm, most of the time you've got to either steal it or you've got to obtain it some sort of legal means in terms of whatever. But a knife. You can go to Walmart right now and get a knife.
No, you're right. Yeah, but to kind of counter against my point, the guy in Michigan who was apprehended is Bradford James Gilley, 42, of Afton, Michigan. Now he was stopped by a black guy with a gun.
Yeah, with a gun.
Yeah, he had a gun and he held a gun.
So that knife was stopped by a gun.
Yeah.
And you want to talk about, that dude is a hero, and he deserves to be recognized as a hero. The dude was standing there, and it was just very much like, I loved how he was holding this gun, and there was a crowd of people around. It was a bunch of dudes that were trying to subdue this guy or whatever. But this guy's got this gun, and he's holding it over because he's at one move.
Yeah,
one move, and that guy's got a bullet in his head.
Yeah.
And that guy needs to be commended. We need to celebrate the heroes when we can, and not just plaster the pictures of these villains across the screen.
Yeah, then that was the knife, just a
Look at
common
that.
knife.
Look at that. That is a common pocket knife.
Yeah.
My 14-year-old son has one of those.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It's the depraved mind.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. So anyway, stay vigilant out there, and we're going to roll on with the show. But we want to catch this guy. And I don't know.
Please.
It's ridiculous.
Please, 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 if you see something in Arkansas, say something.
So, I mean, it's kind of tough to come off of a story like that.
It is. It's
into these other stories that just seem kind of ridiculous. Honestly,
lot's happened.
Like the story I have queued up next is kind of ridiculous. And I
in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, in the grand scheme of things.
Now,
it really
I just want
but-
any person to know, as they're an onlooker here, that I don't just determine the order of the show. This is called the Paul Harrell program, and I am not Paul Harrell.
Okay, well, so have you heard of Aztec Batman? Aztec Batman.
You sent me the link, but before that, I had not heard of
You
it.
had not heard of Aztec Batman. So, this isn't anything new in like comics. Like, there's a comic book from years ago that like theorized what happened if Superman's spaceship had come in at a different time and it landed in Soviet Russia, and he would have been Superman, but also Soviet. He'd have been raised by a
so
Soviet man.
he wouldn't have cared about America.
Yeah,
He'd
so
have
it's like
cared
an
about-
alternate universe or whatever. And I think they've done this with a few other things, but
Been interesting to see who would have won the Cold War at that point.
yeah,
there.
exactly, and that's kind of the point. I can't remember the name of that. I mean, I'm not a huge comic book person. I mean, I liked the superhero movies from years and years ago when they were actually
Yeah.
good and they didn't get wokeified. But anyway, so it's a cartoon they're making called Aztec Batman. And all of the white conquistadors are obviously the villains, and the Aztecs, that is a culture, mind you, that one of the reasons the Aztec Empire fell is because the people around the other cultures around the Aztec partnered with the conquistadors because they hated them because of the human sacrifice, because of the cutting out the hearts of their children and themselves. That they despise the Aztecs. So the Aztec culture going away, the human sacrifice ending, was fundamentally a good thing, I think we can say, or I can say. And so people are roasting this online. People are disgusted with that they would take this culture painted in such a positive light and paint the conquistadors as the villains. And when I mean villains, I mean each conquistador, each white guy ends up becoming a Batman villain. There's a Two-Face, there's a Joker, there's a Catwoman, there's a Poison Ivy, and it's just so cringe. And I'm going to show it here in a minute, but go ahead, Rob.
Okay, well, here's the deal. Are we surprised at all, considering what they're doing to Marvels and, with all of our superheroes? Are we surprised at all? Have you heard about the director of the recent Superman movie? Have you heard?
James Gunn with the
he just talks about
immigration.
How Superman is an illegal immigrant, and his treatment is very indicative of how we treat illegals. Like, and Tim Pool, to his credit, said he's like, I got an early screening of Superman, and I watched this, and he's like, I didn't see any of the wokeness that everybody's talking about, but the director that's what he wanted.
Yeah.
That's what he hoped for, but he also didn't want the whole, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs treatment where Rachel Zegler goes woke. Yeah, she goes woke with this stuff, and then this thing freaking tanks.
Yeah.
So he didn't want that. Superman, I think, is doing well financially in spite of his
I haven't
comments.
seen it. I've heard a lot of people enjoyed it. I've heard it wasn't woke, but I also heard it wasn't the best Superman movie.
Sure.
I heard Nerdrotic say the other day that the new Fantastic Four is actually the best superhero movie of the year by
Really?
far,
Okay.
hands down.
Okay.
So-
Is it woke?
I don't think so. I think they took all that out. They don't have they didn't girl boss it where they make the girl superheroes somehow constantly put down the men or whatever. It was just
Right.
allegedly true to the original subject material, the original source material.
And to this Aztec Batman here, like, is woke dead? I mean, it.
Yeah, you gotta imagine
seems
that
like-
they got the green light for this several years ago or something.
Yeah.
It's just a terrible concept. I don't want to get a copyright strike, so I'm not going to play the audio, but I am going to play just a little bit. You see, as you can see there, you've got, a civilization that has bows and arrows. There's Aztec Batman. Okay, that's their. So you got the peaceful society. Think of this is my father, and look how bright and colorful it is, right? I mean, perfect.
Sure.
I mean, we just cut the hearts out of our enemies and
it's another
sacrifice
Moana.
them on the top of Ziggurat. Yeah, just Moana. That's all it is, just Moana. Here come the evil conquistadors.
Yeah, look how gray they are. Yes.
And the storm clouds roll in, and just without a note, kind of like the movie 300, Conquistador just slashes his throat.
White man bad.
Yes. And now they have a big battle. And so here's Bruce Wayne, I guess, right? I don't know. What would you call him? Is his name Bruce Wayne, or is his name... And does he live in a giant pyramid?
I don't... I can't... I'm trying to form some words here.
I know. It's difficult.
There you go.
Okay, so he's now training. He finds somebody, and he's going to start training to become Aztec Batman. He's even got a batarang.
Oh my goodness!
And they still got guns and cannons.
Sure,
so that's
why not, right?
And then there's a Catwoman. Here comes Catwoman.
Oh,
and Catwoman fights Conquistador and creates Two-Face.
Ah, yes.
See, now you have your Two-Face.
There we go. Now we're man.
This is insane, right? And now there's some Joker, and they're all conquistadors. They're kind of
every bad guy is white.
Poison Ivy. All the white people turn into Batman villains.
Okay. Well,
so this is the comments. The comments.
I'm gonna hard pass on watching this.
I may have to hate watch it actually.
Just so that you can accurately rip on it. Okay.
Okay. The stupidest thing I've ever seen. John Harris writes, wait, this isn't a spoof. Let's see. Somebody gives us a bit of history. We're not interested in that. Somebody says the Spaniards were the good guys. You know how I know? Because all of the other tribes joined up with them to take down the Aztecs because they were such sadistic scumbags. Let's see here.
Oh, my.
Oh, somebody wants to know if Aztec Batman eats the still beating hearts of child sacrifices.
Yeah, there you go. Someone knows their history. Lord have mercy.
Anyway, this is just going to fuel more people who are essentially realizing just how ridiculous this is. White man bad, Western civilization bad.
Well, here's what they need to do. They need to call Target. Just call Target up and say, hey, this is going to work.
Or Bud Light.
Yeah, but Bud Light recovered from it, but that's just because the conservatives, railed against it and just said, "Hey, we're not going to," and we took away your status as the number one beer.
Yeah.
Now, were they buying other beers, from Anheuser-Busch? Yeah, they were, but they also made Modelo the number one brand. It overtook Bud Light, and everybody's like, oh, well, Anheuser-Busch owns Modelo. Not in America, they don't. Not in the United States, they don't. They own it worldwide, but they don't own it in the United States. So it did hurt.
Yeah.
It did hurt them. But the bottom line is that's how conservatives vote. They protest. They protest with their dollars, right? And they protested with their dollars with Target, and what did we see? The child tuck swimsuits.
Yes, I remember that.
Gone.
Disgusting. Yeah.
And what did they see in the place? What do we see in their place? Appropriate. We saw American flags.
Yep.
Flag swimsuits and things of that nature. They went Target. We got the memo.
Yeah.
Right. We understood the assignment here. They need to put in a call. This Warner Brothers here needs to put in a call to Target.
Yeah, they're absolutely getting roasted. Let me tell you a story about Tuck, because you made me think of something that happened. So my daughter was on YouTube the other day, and we let my daughter watch YouTube. We regulate
the kids
it.
version. Or?
Well, now we have the kids version, but there's another. Anyway,
okay.
We have a few shows on YouTube that we say, okay, you can watch this, and we still. But she went to the search bar the other day. She wanted to search for how to tuck the tips of your hair. I don't know, some girl thing. She wanted to curl her hair a certain way, and so the way she framed it was not curl but tuck, and so she wrote how to tuck, and my wife looked up at the screen, and the suggested search was obviously, how to tuck your penis in or whatever, and so she didn't see the searches. My wife, jumps into action. Shuts the whole operation down and then tells me, says, okay, well,
that's the frustrating thing. Yeah. Is that we see that is that parents are having to be helicopter parents.
Yeah.
And somebody would say, well, just let them they're going to find out about this stuff. But your daughter is what, 7, 8?
She just turned 8. Yeah.
Yeah. So she's 8 years old. I think that there's a more appropriate age to learn about.
Yeah. So
dudes tucking their penis.
So I'm like, okay, let's check out the YouTube Kids. I set up the YouTube Kid account, and I'm like, all right, I guess I was more comfortable trying to kind of curate it on my own, but the YouTube's Kid, because I think there's other stuff that's going to get labeled as kid stuff that's probably still not really good. And with YouTube's Kid now, there's all these other options, just flooded with nothing but that. So that's kind of made things difficult. And so we were watching the YouTube Kid the other night or over the weekend. And are you familiar with, is it Roblox or
Roblox?
Roblox.
Yeah.
So she's watching somebody play Roblox.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there watching it. We're eating, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm kind of taking it all in. And it's somebody playing a Roblox going to the first day of school.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're in school. There's a few other people. So she's watching somebody else play a video game, which right there, that alone probably means that I failed as a dad.
No. All 3 of my children enjoys watching someone else play a
video game.
Yeah.
I've actually always, back before, not on video, but back when I used to play video games in high school and college, I would enjoy watching my friend play the game. I wouldn't actually, it'd be fun or whatever. Anyway, so I can kind of get that. But so all of a sudden, in this Roblox game about school, everything goes dark, and all of a sudden there's this demon figure that's descended, and now all of the students in this game who look, everything looked nice and pretty and totally decent, are now, they've got a timer. They've got a set timer to run from the gymnasium to some other part of the school to be safe from this figure or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, to me, it screamed school shooting.
Yeah.
It screamed are we programming children to know where they have to run if something bad happens? Anyway, sorry, I don't really have a point other than to just share my story. I just kind of thought it was outrageous.
It is outrageous. Not a terrible thing to at least train them on because of the reality of the world that we live in.
This is true.
I
can't.
When you and I were younger, that just really the first major school shooting nationwide was right here in Jonesboro, Arkansas. It was West Side school shooting in 1998.
Yep, I remember that.
And when most people think about the start of the school shootings, they think about Columbine, which was 1999. But 1998 was the first one. There were 4 students and a teacher shot.
Yep.
And I think, is it still the youngest? Because it was a 13-year-old and an 11-year-old.
Yeah. I
believe that it is still the youngest, school shooting, mass school shooting or whatever. Anyway, so our children have learned about that stuff. But, YouTube is not a safe place for kids, even if it's on YouTube Kids. Because all a person has to do is just check mark that it's safe for children, and you can post whatever you want. Now, it could be found out about if it's reported and all of that stuff. But if your kids, if you're trying to shield them from certain things, YouTube is not the place to accomplish that.
Yeah, certainly not unsupervised.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the no-go. It's the unsupervised watching, really, of any internet access unsupervised. It's not even good for adults.
Yeah, well, I mean,
it's less for kids.
That's why my kids want to switch over, especially my older children, like my 14-year-old son. He wants to watch Netflix on my account, right? Because you've got all these.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Well, his Netflix has a restriction on it that he's not allowed to watch certain things, and he gets so frustrated about it. And we've like, all he's got to do is switch over there, right? And we've noticed, my wife will say, "Hey, were you watching this?" And she's asking that question not because she's worried that I'm watching something that's got foul language in it.
Right.
She's because she knew I didn't watch it. She knew I didn't watch it. She knew he had watched it, but she just needed to confirm it with me. And I'm like, "I've never even heard of that, Kara. I don't even know what this is." Wow. And what are we seeing here? It's just my 14-year-old son. Now, I'm not trying to villainize this kid like he's doing what I did when I was 4. I snuck out of the house when I was 14. We lied to our parents. We talked about this on a previous show. We lied to our parents about where we were sleeping that night, and everybody else was sleeping at somebody else's house so we could go camping out.
Yeah.
And what if something would have happened to us, our parents, and none of us would have known
No
where
cell
we are.
phones.
Right. When I think I was like 17, 18 years old before I wore a seatbelt. Okay, like things were just different.
They were. They were different.
Especially with the cars that you would ride in that had the flip down ashtray.
I remember that.
Right,
Yeah.
and no air conditioning. We're like sitting in the back glass here up here. Anyway, but things are different these days. We know better. And it's just very, very challenging for us as parents to shield our kids from this stuff. So.
No, you're exactly right. Hey, folks, before we go any further, I just want to tell you real quick about Red Vive Health and the great folks at redvivehealth.org/Paul. If you don't know, red light therapy is scientifically proven. You can actually get you can get clinical strength red light panels in your house. They do things like increase your skin collagen, anti-aging, hyperpigmentation, but they're 2 wavelengths. The red light does that. Then the near-infrared light actually stimulates the mitochondria of your cells inside your deeper in your body, like your deep tissue, your subcutaneous fat. It's incredible technology. I have one in my house, and if you want one, you can get 15% off by going to redvive, V-I-V-E, redvivehealth.org/Paul, and you get the 15% discount. Or you can call them at 866-726-8483. You see that number on your screen, 866-726-8483. And if you mention my name, Paul, you get the discount. And if you're a veteran and or you have somebody in your household, your immediate household who's a veteran, you get an extra 5% off. You have to call them, though, because they're going to want to talk to you. The guy that answers the phone is a veteran. He's told me he'll know whether or not you're lying. So challenge accepted out there.
Yeah, there you go.
So there you go for it. 866-726-8483. So, all right. So let's.
Red light therapy is legit, by the way. It is absolutely legit. There are people that absolutely swear by red light therapy. It is the new craze with everything. But Joe Rogan talks about red light therapy. Dr. Oz talks about red light therapy, and the positive effects that it has for your body. Even helps clear up some of your nearsightedness. And I am nearsighted.
No, it does.
Yeah. So I've noticed like the last couple of times I've gone to the eye doctor, my prescription is getting stronger on all of this stuff. And so I've just started recently doing red light therapy.
No, you're exactly right. And I've talked to Matt Troy over at Red Vive, and he's actually said that, he's been using it for years now, and he's noticed that. And I have very good vision. It's failing at night, but it's still 2015 as of a couple of years ago. But everybody says, you're going to need glasses soon, and so the idea is if I can do this for 10 years, he claims he thinks I won't need the glasses. Right, because it does something with the cones, or it's good for the cones in your eyes. I don't know. What are
we doing now as we're getting older? You got that piece of paper, and we're that's farsightedness, right? Like where we can't see close up, and nearsighted is where we can't see far away. Well, I wear contacts for nearsightedness. But I'm starting to do this, with my cell phone and with pieces of paper that I'm reading, and so I've started that red light therapy.
I think I'll also say this. I think a lot of it has to do with blue light fatigue. So the blue screens.
We're on these screens all day long.
Oh man, my eyes sometimes.
Yeah, my wife gets
so bad.
My wife gets migraines from that too, and I'm told that red light therapy really works well for migraines.
And on these specific panels, again, redvivehealth.org/Paul. Sorry, we didn't mean for the ad to go this long, but you do need to know. These panels actually, you get the red light or the near infrared light or both. So you can toggle between the two, or you can get them all. And I'm told that the near infrared light, if you got a real bad headache, shutting the red light off to relax your eyes even more, and then just let the near infrared light come in, helps with migraines and headaches.
It's not an ad if it's legit. So anyway.
Okay, yeah, that's true. That's a good point. All right, real quick, we got about 10 minutes left, and I've got two things that I want to talk about. The first thing I want to talk about, I haven't even showed you this, is this Axios headline over on X. Okay, Axios, liberal rag, we all know. Trump in the midst of negotiating huge deals, gets this huge deal with the EU. There are EU politicians complaining about it. Somebody was like, how in the heck did Donald Trump get this deal? I mean, does he have blackmail on all the EU people? Like, how did he get such a good deal for America? So Axios' response to this is, in the Trump-dominated global economy, the U.S. gets plenty but gives nothing in return.
How dare us?
Trump trade deal proves access to U.S. still matters most above else. So our markets are that valuable.
Axios, Axios is like, they are so conservative, aren't they, right? I'm obviously being sarcastic. Axios is a liberal rag, and I can't believe anybody takes them seriously. It had to hurt them to write something. And I haven't read this article, but I would imagine that there's all kinds of sneaky, underhanded, like, oh, Trump is bad.
Oh, yeah. It's behind a paywall. I refuse to pay them.
Yeah. And so what you've got here is Trump keeps winning on these trade deals. And even Bill Maher, who has just recently come out and on his, so he has his Real Time on HBO, but then he's also got this podcast where he's always stoned. I don't know if you've seen that stuff. You've probably seen clips.
Oh, yeah, I've seen the clips.
Yeah. So he's always just sitting there smoking pot, and he's always stoned. But anyway, what he said was, he's like, hey, I bought into the hype of Trump is going to wreck our economy by July 4th. And he's like, hey, we're almost a month past that now.
Uh-huh.
He still hasn't wrecked our economy, and as a matter of fact, it's getting better. And Trump keeps putting these deals in place, and it's like, all right, liberals, how much mud are we going to sling before we realize that this dude always comes out clean on the other side?
That's a great point. And then, how I love this, like, we're getting plenty, but we're giving nothing in return. Like, what exactly did they, like, it's such virtue signaling, and it's like, what do you mean? You want us to resume the USAID programs where we're teaching third worlders how to properly wash their genitals?
Yeah,
that was an actual thing we paid for a long time ago. Like,
yeah.
What are you talking about? We've given plenty.
We're over the $38 trillion in debt
for 75 years. We've given and given and given, and enough is enough. And that's what the American people said in 2024. So.
1 in 6 children. Oh, I'm sorry, 1 in 5 children, 1 in 6 adults go to bed hungry every night. 1 in 5 children go to bed hungry every night in the United States. Until we solve that problem, you can shut up about all of the advantages that we're taking over the rest of the world. I'm sorry, but I want to say I was a public school teacher, and I saw kids on Monday morning go through the breakfast line twice. And they went through that breakfast line twice because they didn't have anything to eat that weekend. They didn't have anything. We sent backpacks home with them on long weekends. We sent backpacks home with them during the summer. We have hungry children in the United States right now. You can shut up about what we need to do for the rest of the world. I'm not going to hear it right now. I'm not going to listen to it.
And by the way, it's a message like that actually has the ability to unite the populist right and the populist left.
Can we all agree? Can we all agree that we have not solved hunger? We're the richest nation in the world by far, and we have not solved our own hunger problem.
And then look at our cities. Look what happened to that couple in Ohio that got beat up. There's no law enforcement. The cities our U.S. cities are no longer safe or beautiful places either. So we also have that. So, yeah, let's hope that all of these billions of dollars in tariffs, hundreds of billions of dollars or whatever it is, let's hope it really does. Let's hope it's actually used to help the American people and not just say they're going to help us, but actually fix some of these
There's
problems.
So many people that are absolutely scamming the system. Like, there are going to be people that might say it in the comments like, well, yeah, that's because Trump is cutting benefits. Hunger has been a problem. I've not been a school teacher since 2017. Okay? All of the stuff that I'm talking about happened during Obama, right?
Right.
And what was Michelle Obama's number one her big project or whatever? And it was ending childhood obesity. Okay, we got a problem the other way around, sister. Yeah, we got some problem with childhood obesity. I get that, okay? And I saw kids who had a piece of toast with a piece of cheese melted on it, and that was because that's what satisfied her nutritional guidelines and all of that stuff. And you're like, okay, are you that really large kid who will eat anything in front of him is going to still eat that, okay? These other kids who haven't had a meal, like, give them some calories, man.
Yeah.
These kids haven't had anything. If they're going through the breakfast line twice, it's because they're starving to death.
Yeah, give them some corned beef hash.
Gosh, man, give them something to eat. And, like, we've got so much wealth in this country and so much money that we're wasting on $9,000 hammers at the State Department and all this BS we're wasting money on. I think we can all agree that there are some people who are homeless by choice. There are some people who are homeless by their terrible decisions, okay? There are also people who are homeless due to unfortunate circumstances, and I'm willing to help those people out. But those kids did nothing wrong. And I'm not trying to, like, stand up here on this thing, but I saw it. I saw it as a school teacher. These kids were not listening to a single word that I said because they're exhausted, because they have no energy, because they got no calories over the weekend.
Wow.
Feed our children, and then we can worry about the rest of the world.
So while I have you here, Rob, there's a
Calm it down here.
No, this is going to calm you down. There's a new trend over on Reddit, which is generally populated full of liberals. But in the complaints thread, there is this new phenomenon about people writing fake posts from a leftist point of view about Donald Trump, and they are clearly written by somebody like me. As I read this post, I'm about to read it to you. It would be something that could be in left-wing will. The stereotypical mind of leftists, we tried to dive in to make fun of them. Left-wing will, the red pill. You go to paultalkshow.substack.com, become a subscriber, and you get a copy of a paid subscriber, and you get a copy of Left Wing Will and the Red Pill.
Which, just FYI, is just like Apples to Apples or Cards Against Humanity, but with making fun of liberals.
So I just want to get your reaction to this.
All right.
My wife's boyfriend voted for Trump, and now I sleep on the yoga mat. I don't even know where to start. I'm still shaking from the microaggression I experienced this morning. I'm a lifelong Democrat, proud feminist ally, and part-time Etsy jewelry designer. I've canvassed for Elizabeth Warren, knitted Bernie a scarf he never acknowledged, and spent 3 years mastering the ukulele to play progressive sea shanties at our local co-op. My pronouns are they, he, they, again, on weekends. I care. But now everything has fallen apart. My wife's boyfriend, Bryce, who moved in with us after she said I was too emotionally codependent and she needed a stronger masculine presence to balance the crystals in our relationship, has revealed that he voted for Trump. Yes, Trump. It started with the little red flags. He would roll his eyes when I reminded him that using the word crazy is ableist. He refused to participate in our community drum circle Zoom calls. He kept forgetting our cat's neo-pronouns, and I saw it. The hat, then I saw it, the hat, a red baseball cap peeking out from under his bench press station. My heart sank like the sea levels I protest every Friday at the vegan market. I confronted him during our weekly accountability dinner. I had prepared a beat-based risotto and a spoken word poem about the patriarchy. But instead of reflecting and apologizing for his toxic electoral decision, he just scooped half of the risotto with his hands and said he liked Trump's stance on taxes and borders and not being a little biatch. My wife, ever the diplomat, said she understood both sides and that I should take this opportunity to challenge my privilege and learn to hold space for divergent worldviews. She then asked me to sleep in the meditation corner so Bryce could get, quote, quality masculine rest energy in the bed we bought together at the Portland gender-neutral furniture fair. I have not known rest since. He has taken over the kitchen. There is bacon, actual animal flesh. My gut biome is in shambles. He grills shirtless while blasting country music and quoting Jordan Peterson. I tried to counter his presence with a sage cleansing, but he laughed and said that the only sage he believes in is Charlie Kirk. I don't even know who that is. Is he a warlock? Even the dog, Greta, who was raised on a strictly plant-based climate justice diet, has defected. She follows Bryce everywhere now, wagging her tail like she's forgotten that he once said the words "drill, baby, drill" unironically. She used to bark at SUVs, and now she barks at me when I cry. This is what America has become. The erosion of democratic norms right inside my own polyamorous eco home. My kombucha has gone flat. My chakra apps keep crashing. And every time I speak, Bryce tells me to use facts, not feelings, and then does push-ups until I feel physically unsafe. I'm not sure how much longer I can take it. If anyone has a spare yurt or knows of an open spot in a socialist commune that doesn't allow red meat or Rogan podcasts, please message me. I fear for my safety, and my lentil reserves are running low.
Are we sure that's not real? Are we sure?
I don't know, man.
Because that seems like it's hitting a lot of points there.
So it could be real, but because it really does sound. I mean, it really sounds like something that's in this game. But there are so many others. Like there are others that are very similar. That it's so good though.
Do you think they're using Chat GPT to write those? Because
that could be.
That is so incredibly witty and funny and like spot on that I just struggle to believe that. Of course, I don't know.
Could be.
It could be someone who is. It could be like a conservative who is living in the middle of, Seattle. Where they're just like, I'm living in the middle of this liberal lunacy, and I've just got to get it all out.
Yeah, you're right. It could be that. I hope it's not AI. I hope there's still enough creativity out there that this is actually coming from. Because I can tell you this, we did not use AI to write a single card in
Left Wing Will
in our game here. So
Left Wing Will and the red pill.
We'll play it sometime on the
air. We're gonna play it next week.
Yeah, that sounds good. Rob,
or this week.
Thank you so much for being on the show. Really appreciate it,
Paul.
Sir.
It's an honor to be here. We obviously started off on a sad note, but ended on some fun, so that's good.
Yeah, and that's kind of the way I wanted it to happen because I knew it was going to be so serious on the front end. But yeah, continue to pray for the families. Continue to pray for the Brinks. This new Arkansas couple that had just moved here were murdered in Devil's Den State Park. The killer is still on the loose as of this broadcast. If you see something, say something. Look up all the descriptions and call the Arkansas State Police if you have any information. They're also telling people, forgot to mention this, they're telling anybody in the area to check your game cams.
Yeah.
This area is ripe with deer. There's deer everywhere. There's hunters all around. And so go check your game cameras potentially and see if you recorded anything, if it was anywhere in the area. So stay vigilant. We will see you tomorrow, and I'll be doing the Millstone Report here on X America News tomorrow at noon Central, and then Paul Harrell program at 4 o'clock Central tomorrow as well. God bless everybody out there watching.